Sunday, June 1st. He asked to talk. We sat down and cleared the air. But for how long? Half a day, 2 days, a week, a month? I don't know. What I do know is this. I'm starting to live in a way that doesn't feel like living at all. I walk on eggshells. I measure my words. I tiptoe through the day, trying not to trigger him. And that is not living. June 18th. It began yesterday. Another weekend, another argument. And I'm just so tired. Lord, please help me. I feel like I say that more and more these days. It started with something so small as always. Something that shouldn't have even been an issue. He was in the bathroom getting ready when he pulled an empty pad box from the cupboard and left it sitting on the counter. Later, when I walked in, I saw it. Why is this empty box here? I asked, confused. It's empty, he said. He was on his way out, and I figured he could toss it, so I handed it to him, expecting, without much thought, that he'd throw it into the recycling bin since he was leaving the bathroom. Instead, he let it fall to the floor. I asked, "Why don't you want to take it to the recycling bin?" And he replied flatly, "You can take it." I just stood there, silent. "You're walking toward the kitchen," I said, trying to keep calm. "Just take it with you." And then, without missing a beat, he said, "I'm not going to the kitchen. I'm going the opposite way." I stared at him, the box on the floor between us. "Incredible," I whispered to myself, as I bent down to pick it up. I couldn't believe the exchange had happened at all. And that wasn't even the worst part. There's a suitcase, his suitcase, in our closet. Sometimes, when I don't have time to fold everything properly, I place clean clothes on top of it until I can put them away a day or two later. This time, he decided, on that exact day, to use the suitcase. And he tossed my clothes on the floor. When I saw them and asked why, he said simply, "I needed to use the luggage." I told him, "You could have moved them to the top shelf, or the bed, or a chair." He looked at me and said, "Were the clothes clean or dirty? That wasn't the point. They were clean. But even if they hadn't been, why throw them on the floor? Why not just talk to me?" What worries me isn't just the act. It's that he can't seem to acknowledge when he's wrong. Instead, he deflects. He argues, always finding a way to justify his actions, no matter how small or hurtful they are. I told myself I'd talk to him, try again. And I did. But the conversation led nowhere. In the end, it was still my problem that I felt hurt. Late in the afternoon, he went to nap. I showered, ate alone. Now it's 10:17 p.m. and he's in the kitchen, cooking. I guess he didn't want to eat the food I made, so now he's making his own. And I just sit here wondering, where are we going with this? How long can this go on like this? Father, I'm tired. I didn't expect marriage to be easy, but I never thought I'd feel so alone in it. I never thought I'd feel like I was fighting for something that the other person wouldn't even hold with me. He's supposed to be my partner. I'm supposed to be his helper. But here I am, lost for words. It's 10:30 now. I'm going to bed, and I'm just so very tired. June 20th, he still doesn't want to talk to me, even after I apologized. He's making his own food, avoiding me entirely, and refusing to engage in any kind of conversation. I don't know what to do. Later that evening, I pushed for another conversation. This time, he opened up, at least a little. He said, I'm paraphrasing here, "I don't recognize my wife, because you voluntarily refused to feed me. You wanted revenge for the situation by not serving me. What you did is something someone would do to their enemy. We both came from difficult upbringings, and you know there were days we went without food." To that, I replied, "It wasn't revenge. If it had been, I wouldn't have asked you if you wanted to eat." I reminded him that he had served himself at lunchtime, so I thought he would do the same in the evening. And then he added, "So you expected me to eat the same thing twice?" I said, "Yes. We often eat leftovers more than once." Again, I asked him to tell me his intentions with all of this tension, what exactly he wanted. He told me that he needed time to digest the situation. Surprisingly, that made me feel a bit of relief. At least now I knew he needed space. How much? I don't know, he didn't say. I told him I'd give him that space, that I wouldn't push or bother him, but I also told him gently that he had hurt me, even if he couldn't see it. I said that we need to see a counselor, that we need help learning how to talk to each other, that I want to know him better, but I can't do that alone. I also told him something that was hard for me to say, that I'm going to stop offering affection when he's angry. It's always me, the one reaching out, the one holding us together, the one offering love even when there's silence. And yes, he once said that even when we're angry at each other, we should still be affectionate. But the truth is, I've been doing that alone, and I'm done doing it alone. This decision was incredibly difficult for me, because I'm a warm person. Affection is how I show love, but it's hard, almost impossible, to keep giving warmth to someone who doesn't give it back. So I'm stopping too, at least until he comes back from his digestion trip. June 23rd. On the third day of his digestion trip, he started showing me affection again. It was morning, unexpected, a gentle touch, a shift in his tone, out of nowhere, and it felt strange, not because I didn't want the affection, but because I was still waiting for the conversation. I thought surely before we returned to touching and smiling, we'd talk about what happened, about what he may have reflected on during that time of silence, about what I felt, waiting in that quiet ache. But he said nothing. No words, just closeness. Coincidentally, it was also the day we were going to help his sister move. Before we left, I reminded him gently, "We still need to talk." He said, "Yes." Later, after the move, we came home tired. He didn't have time to talk. He was busy preparing for a dance competition that weekend. Still, I looked at him and said, "When you get back, we'll need to have that conversation." And again, he said, "Yes."